The Marybeth Conley Show on KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
Allison is great. She joins us live. Allison, have you ever done an ionic foot bath?
I have.
Are they great?
Absolutely. You can't be, a leader in business and deal with the people and the stresses and everything and not learn a lot of different ways to take care of yourself.
Yes. There you go. All right.
Yes, you're the star. You're the star. Take care of your talent.
Well, and Allison has just traveled internationally. She is a leadership leadership coach and a career coach and the author of Connect to Influence. She's a connectivity expert. So really, of all the people who really need to do this sort of regular self-care, it's you, girl, because you stay on the run. You have a lot of nonprofit clients as well as corporate clients, and you are making this through our $1 Million Mind segment the summer of our career. So today, you wanted to ask us, or you want actually to coach all of our listeners to ask themselves, what page are my business skills on? What do you mean by that?
Oh, well, so let's backtrack for our summer of our career, because I get really excited talking with business owners, entrepreneurs, and individuals about creating opportunities for themselves. So that's what we started our summer of our career with.
Right.
Are we in the business of creating opportunities? And then we moved to people who understand money, make more money. And we talked about how to set focus and goals. And so this month, I really want to challenge people to consider what page are your business skills on, with PAGE standing for taking a moment and doing a professional asset and gap evaluation.
Okay. Wow.
So
that means looking at where we're strong and weak, sounds like.
Absolutely. So take some time to celebrate your assets, because sometimes we forget at how much we do know. So build yourself up and give yourself lots of credit for the things that you do well, and make sure you're keeping those skills sharp. I was just working with a young gentleman, a young IT professional, who had listed all these skills on his resume, went through 3 job interviews, and at the last moment completely blew it because he was asked a question about his assets that he hadn't kept sharp. So celebrate your assets, but make sure you're keeping them sharp. And then we have to constantly be looking for opportunities to build our resume if we're an individual who is looking for that next level career move, or building our knowledge if we're entrepreneurs and business owners, because the world is moving so fast. So this gap evaluation is important. And I think, Marybeth, think of it this way. When you go to college, you start a 4-year plan, and you're given a consistent path of content and knowledge that, okay, I have to get this, and I have to get that, and I have to get this. And then, we get out, and we're like, okay, I know what I need to know, but we need to constantly be evaluating those skills gaps.
Okay. And I guess that starts, too, with, as you said, identifying where you want to go next. And this is whether you work for a company or, like, we have 2 entrepreneurs here. So in their situations, an entrepreneur needs to identify where they want their business to go next, yes?
Oh, absolutely. And I think, Delmar is, it's always a delight to listen to her HR advice and her HR horror stories.
Thank you, Allison.
And there are some HR horror stories.
Yes.
We've definitely, Yeah.
So if you are doing this professional asset and gap evaluation, you might have on your list, financials. You might have, I need to know more about sales cycles or customer acquisition or marketing or distribution, contracts, risk management, or human resources. And it might not be your core area of expertise, but as Delmar said, you can't be a business leader, you can't be a business owner, and you can't be an entrepreneur who's ultimately going to be hiring staff and not have a general understanding of that area,
right,
or have somebody in your professional key content network that is that skill. So in this instance, if I identified that I had a gap in human resources, and maybe I wasn't ready to hire Delmar, but I got her in my network, I could do an informational interview with her. Now, we hear about using informational interviews when you're a job seeker, right? We hear this all the time. But why aren't we using them when we're just trying to build our knowledge base as well? Because, maybe Del Mar would love a glass of wine and be able to spill a bunch of knowledge with me for
Yes,
an hour.
put that idea out there, Allison. Thank you very much. It is on my radar.
My way after that wine.
It is on my radar.
And then Amber will detox
So you fill her up, I'll detox her.
And then after
like your job's more fun.
I'll taste my wine with my ionic water.
There you go. Okay, so that makes sense. That, but the first step is identifying where your gaps are. You have to be realistic. Is that hard for people to do, to look into the mirror?
Oh, absolutely. I think as small business people, I mean, luckily for me, I'm a constant learner and I enjoy like kind of being in the know. But I mean, I've worked with so many people, and especially, people who like me who've been in business for 10 years. And I feel like I'll include myself a little bit. You get stuck in your protocols, your programs,
right,
where you were versus where you're going. And sometimes, we need help getting at, like I've been calling on my employees more because they're younger than me. They're more fresh into what's hot now. Give me your input, help us sharpen the saw through your point of view, because I see things my way, you see things your way.
So your gap might be that you've been out of college and out of that young 20s environment for a few years. So what's trending now? Is that a business gap? Because that's not like all those strategic things you mentioned.
But it kind of
Allison.
is. I mean, when I started this business 10 years ago, people were information based. They wanted the statistics. Now everyone is so emotionally based. They want to know, how's it going to make me feel? It's a totally different beast.
So is that a type of gap depending on kind of business?
Oh, I absolutely agree. And I think it's also, if you could put in your gap of understanding your buyers, then that would be it. Because I know a lot of millennials who, and you joked about the new website coming out for Del Mar, but, I have employees that work for me that they will literally give a website, I swear, 3 seconds. And if the website doesn't look up to snuff, there's no way they're going to do business or follow through or even walk in the door of a shop.
Exactly.
Wow, okay.
That's a great insight.
Yeah, because especially for a spa, that's a really visual, that website needs to be really visual, right?
And it needs to, I think we always say, they need to see themselves in it, because sometimes from our perspective, what we think we want to show isn't what that buyer is going to appeal. Like I once had a business connection who ran a safari business in Africa, and he thought that having this, big lion picture, like you come on my safari and you're going to see this lion. And what they found was that the buyer was scared off by that. What the buyer actually liked was more of this kind of really wide path where you could envision yourself kind of walking down the path in the safari setting was sold better than that. So I even say, people are using Facebook all the time to say, oh, I'm doing my new logo or I'm doing my new website header. What picture do you like better? Gotcha. But I think in general, understanding your buyer's mind is a gap. And if people ping me on Facebook or send me a note at connect@AllisonKSummers.com, I have quite an extensive list, and I wouldn't share the entire big list. But, yeah, it's easy, as Amber said, to get in a rut and look at just because you get so caught up in your day-to-day.
Yep. Let me ask you this, too.
Need to lift my head.
Depending on the type of business, like you mentioned, the safari business, we have a spa business, we have a consulting business. Depending on the type of business, do you ever think focus groups are a good idea? Because, like, if Amber goes to just a couple of her employees, they may all be in their young 20s. Well, that's leaving out an important demographic, which is
I got 30s and 40s.
Oh, okay. So you do make sure that you ask,
yes.
you treat your employees like a focus group.
Well, exactly. Or just see, like she was talking about that gap, like I'm going to see things from my point of view that 40-something mind, how I grew up, how I was conditioned. But again, now I've got 2 11-year-old kids who know more about my phones and my computers and, things than I do. And I watch how advertisers prey on them. And I'm like, ding, 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 ding. I'm like, I'm missing something here. That's my gap, is that I need to learn how to take this message to the next generation.
So, Allison, how do focus groups work for you? More formal focus groups.
Yeah, I love that idea, is because I think it's just as easy to somewhat do a focus group. I had a girlfriend who was going to write a new book, and she invited a focus group, and we kind of, I don't want to say, crowd shared, but we built the outline for her whole book based on what we knew of her and based on what we thought appealed to us, versus her sitting all by herself and doing that kind of exercise. And I think you very well can do the same thing as a business owner, but you can say to people that you know, bring somebody I don't know, and offer some sort of reward for coming and doing this focus group activity. I think that's a great idea. I also think you as a professional can do a similar activity about getting some people in, saying, you know me. What is it that you think I shine at, to help identify your assets? Because again, we say, people are always like, well, I know I have the potential to do more. I can be more. I can do better. But there's that saying of, you see what you can do, but others only see you for what you've done and for the value you give to them, what you put out in the world. So I think you could even do a focus group as an individual for helping you figure out what you do well and what you might want to improve upon.
I love that.
I was going to say real quick what you were talking about, Allison, how you were describing that focus group for an entrepreneur business owner. The word mastermind came into mind when how you described it. So some people use the word mastermind around that. Yeah. So I just want to throw that in
like
there.
Like a mastermind group.
Yeah, like a mastermind group. And that group can be very small if you're looking at it as a focus group. So they may use the word, mastermind, which, mean bringing those folks together and their minds together to actually help you hash out an idea or a product or service that you're producing, or then to help each other out. And so that just kind of came to mind when how she describing that focus group for an entrepreneur.
Oh, I love it. I'm like, I'm in, because people love to, this is just the culture of criticism. So we all love to give our opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
So I tell my boys, I'm like, you want to make a friend? Ask them a question. Just let them talk.
That's right. Say, go back to the basics of how to win friends and influence people. Ask their opinion, and then and listen to them and let them talk. And then next thing you know, their internal chemistry and chemicals will be so happy because you asked their advice and their opinion, and you've listened to them. And now you've got somebody else that's loyal to you in your tribe.
Right, it engaged.
Yep,
yes,
they know
engaged.
you, they like you, they trust you, and they buy from you and refer you. So, Allison, give us that email one more time where people can email. It's connect@AllisonSummers.com.
Yep, connect at AllisonKSummers.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. You are indeed a $1 million
great stuff,
mind.
Yes, great
Absolutely.
segment.
In fact, we may have to
Always
change.
a joy.
Yeah, we'll change the name of the segment to Multi-Million-Dollar Mind, actually, because you've given us a lot of food for thought. Thank you so much. That's AllisonKSummers.com.